About rebounding this economy, getting it going again, one person, one business at a time. And our very special guest this hour, the co-founder of Famous Famiglia Pizzeria, Giorgio Kolaj. The Kolaj family opened their first store in New York City in 1986, wasn't it, Giorgio?
Right.
And today the company has locations around the world. So he came from, the family was originally from Kosovo via Italy to the United States, and from there I want you to take it, because I just want you to tell people the story of how your family wound up here and how you turned just an idea and a passion into a worldwide pizza chain.
Thank you very much. I'd give a little yeehaw as well. I grew up in the South, but in the South Bronx. A little bit different. We had different hee-haws back then.
It gets better in the 1 o'clock hour, actually.
Oh, great.
There's a little more hee.
After some olive oil. No, thank you very much for that introduction. You're right. I am the son of two Kosovar Albanians. We call it Kosova, but here in the U.S. we call it Kosovo. We are back in the late 60s. When the partisans came in, they came through our village as well. They killed my grandfather, they took my uncle, the firstborn son, they imprisoned him. And of course there was a lot of communist pressure on people that didn't want to become communists. There was also some religious pressure as well. So after they took our cattle and killed off some of our people, my father was wise, and he had the guts, quite frankly. Here's a man who was a farmer along with my mother, never had gone to school. Heard you mention earlier about walking barefoot. My father did walk barefoot wherever he had to go, but he had the guts for a farmer who was uneducated with his wife, who had never left Kosovo in his life, to even dream or even dare to think that he could come to America. But you know, he sold everything off along with my mother. They agreed. At that time they had 4 children. I hadn't been born yet. And we escaped into Italy, and there just south of Rome, in a small village called Frosinone. This is where I was born in September of '69. My father passed away in a tragic accident. He was picking apples for us to eat. 7 weeks after I was born, he fell to his death. But even on his deathbed, he said to my mother, because my mother was thinking of escaping back into Yugoslavia. She had no one in Italy. She had no one in America. Of course, with the communist propaganda, she believed what she heard by the propagandists, which was America's basically Hades. And so she did not want to come to America, but he said to her, in his dying wish to her, he said, "I will haunt you from my grave." Knowing that she's very old-fashioned European, she believed him. But thank God for Italy. When the rest of the world didn't want us, Italy took us, and America after that.
But Giorgio, how did your mother, your mother, after your father passed, what was it about America? How did she make it here? How did she get here?
My mother had absolutely no clue as well. My mother didn't speak a word of English. We had 0 relatives in this country. Again, my mother also she can't read today even, so she never even read about America, but she knew that her husband, that was his dying wish. He told her it was better in America because he heard it from someone else. But thank God and thank Catholic Charities, they had given us a $280 loan. And with that loan, which by the way we repaid a couple of years ago with some interest, that was enough. They buried my father in Frosinone. They paid our airline tickets to come over, so that they were very grateful people. We've always been the benefactors of tremendous benevolence from people, from total strangers. And so it's odd that Catholic Charities is honoring us this year with a humanitarian award. I think it's odd because we've been honored really by other people's humanitarianism. And we should receive it as, to me, it's really beyond my scope of understanding.
But you get here now, you guys have absolutely nothing.
Yes.
One day you wake up and you say, hey, well, let's open a pizza place.
Well, we were on welfare, social services. We had nowhere to go. We landed at Kennedy Airport. So social services came in. Thankfully, my mother spoke a little bit of Italian because in those days, no one spoke Albanian. We now have an Albanian contingency here in New York.
Yeah, the 4 of you.
Yes. Or 6. Now we can have a parade. So. But no, we grew up on welfare in the South Bronx in the projects. And so my mother is a very determined, she may be short in stature, but she was our mother and our father. She was always very strong, and she taught us the things that really matter most in this life. Not about making money, but really about having character, having morals, dealing with people in an honorable way. The basic fundamentals that regardless of what business you go into, our widget happens to be pizza. It could be anything, manufacturing, whatever, regardless of what industry it is. If you deal with people the way you want to be treated, we think that golden rule works very well. But anyway, to fast forward, like most immigrants, the place where you find work most readily will be in the restaurant business. So we all started out, my brothers and I, washing dishes, bussing tables, delivering pizzas. So this was really second nature to us. Plus, we like to eat. We saved our money for about first 13 years in America. We all pulled our money. I started working when I was 6, delivering newspapers, washing cars, selling ice cream. You name it, we did it all. We were hustlers, little hustlers there in the South Bronx. But after having pulled all of our money after 13 years, we opened up our first shop. Unfortunately, we opened up in the wrong place. We opened up in the middle of an Italian neighborhood where every woman in the neighborhood could cook better than we could. So, and they weren't going to spend, $4 or $5 for a plate of ziti. So anyhow, within 12 months, we closed that first store. We lost our entire life savings. So for the next 3 years, we got up. We did what Americans do. We got up. We dusted our shirts off. We saved up. We borrowed probably about 90% of the money to open up the next location, which was in 1986. It was our first Famous Famiglia unit in 300 square feet, and thank God, we did very well.
But you didn't, again, you didn't give up.
But
No.
wait,
You said it didn't, what?
didn't something burn down before that?
Yeah, actually, our first Famous Famiglia pizza, within a year, it was doing great, but there was an electrical fire in the building. Unfortunately, it burned down to the ground. Thank God, no one got hurt. The very next morning, when the fire department let us come in and clean house, we did that, and we opened up. I think within a month, we were completely open, and from then on, every 2 years, for the next 8 years or so, we opened up another pizzeria in New York City. We never had the intent to grow nationwide or now internationally, quite frankly. But over the course of the following 15, 16 years, we were developing the systems, a semblance of systems. So an infrastructure for franchising or protecting our intellectual property, developing our recipes. Because if we were going to go outside of New York, and if we were going to expand through the channel, through a third party, through franchising, we had to, above all else, protect the brand. At the end of the day, yes, we are a pizza company, but at the end of the day, we are a brand. And this is the way we have to operate the business. And so how else to protect that baseline of quality than to develop our own raw materials? So everything from extra virgin first cold pressed olive oil to our pastas, our sauces, our cheeses, our coffee. We've traveled the world to find the absolute best in terms of each of those raw materials. And many of them are award-winning in and of themselves. And so how many pizzerias out there actually use extra virgin first cold pressed olive oil in their dough? Who but us? But Famous Famiglia shipped New York water, even to New Jersey, for the preparation of the dough. Sorry, I know one of you from Jersey.
Thank you.
I have friends from Jersey. I have friends from Jersey.
That's always been the problem with bagels anywhere outside of New York
right.
City.
I have friends and relatives that go, that move to Florida, or not to knock Florida, I love Florida, but the water content is very different. But I mean, we're that religious about the quality of the product.
But you skipped something because you went away to college and you worked at IBM for 7 years.
Yes.
You also started a software company, but you came back.
Yes, I did.
What'd you come back with?
I came back, first of all, I came back with my heart to my best friends and my brothers. So I've always wanted to work with them. They gave me the opportunity to go to school. I took advantage of that. I completed my degrees in engineering and computer science and business. I went to work for IBM, which I consider to be the Ferrari of the IT industry. Anyway, I worked there for 7 years in the finance and banking sector within IBM Global Services, selling large-scale technical solutions. And then I decided I would go and I'm an entrepreneur at heart. It was too comfortable for me at IBM. I needed something difficult. So I went out and researched a startup company that it was a technology company, it was a product company without a product, which I really liked. And we had to raise some capital. So I joined that group, 4 Israeli guys from Israel, and you know what? 3 years later, we sold the company. We had clients all over the world. We had offices all over the world. And then I had to make a decision. Do I stay in high tech, which was treating me very well? But I thought of my brothers and the sacrifice that they made for me. So it was only the right thing to do, and I'm glad I did that. No regrets.
So now, how many stores?
At that time, we had about 12 units. Today, we have well over 120 around the world. We're throughout the U.S., including Alaska and Hawaii. We're in Mexico. We're in China. We're negotiating deals now throughout the world, multi-development deals in the Middle East and other countries.
I was going to ask you, where's next and what's
I
next?
think India, other parts of Europe, China, the greater China area and the Southeast Asia present wonderful opportunities. By the way, we're growing very well here in the United States. Last year was our best year, even through a recession.
Is that how you measure success, growth?
That's one way in which you measure success. For us personally, as a family, I tell you, we have a tremendous American dream, and that's what's great about this country. There are millions of them. We're nothing special in that sense, of course, but the American dream is still very special. It burns very bright. I get to travel around the world, and people still believe in the American dream, and we need to let people know that it still exists. Actually, I think we need to let Americans know that it still exists, especially in this economy.